Maybe if I'd have said, I really want you to stop this, and I really wish I could have sort of said more of that to him. The other part of me thinks, well, he did know all about these things, he researched about them, he knew about them, and I kind of thought, oh, he's done all the research, so I sort of trusted him in, he knows what he's doing, he obviously knows what's sort of in these things, but he didn't.
He was a very loving little boy, wasn't he?
He was our first child and our parents' first grandchild and our brother's first nephew and everything, so there was a big sort of, celebration and fuss and that when Laurence was born, and our grandparents, our parents, his grandparents, took him out, for days to the zoo and things like that.
We used to go on holiday with another family, and it was just madness. It was really, really fun. They were definitely some of the best times of our lives.
But no, he was a little boy with blonde hair and blue eyes, and he was very happy.
Went off to clubs and all that kind of thing, like they all do.
Yeah, we took him to swimming club and karate and
Football
and and our sort of approach to sort of parenting in that respect was to expose him to lots of different choices, and hopefully he would sort of latch onto one.
Very quiet and shy. All his reports used to say he lacked self-confidence and didn't speak up in class. But that was just his personality. And then in the teens, when he was about 13, you both went to guitar lessons and he really latched on to the guitar.
It was something, as a father and son that we could do together, So, they were good days. We'd have an hour's lesson on a Saturday. And, he got quite good, And I think that was when he found that music was kind of his thing, And he had guitar lessons at school as well. And then he did GCSE in music, and then he went on to his ACM for his music production, and then to Brighton again.
And that's how he ended up going to university and doing his music production. At times he was very open with us. He would talk to us about his anxiety and his problems, and other times he'd completely try and cover it up from us.
When we used to go and visit him in Brighton, or when he'd come home for the weekend, we never really experienced him when he was on anything or taking anything, but we could usually tell. Sometimes we'd go down and he just looked shattered, black bags under his eyes, and we say to him, are you all right? What's going on? But he would sort of blank us, or wouldn't open up to us. He'd say, oh no, it's fine, I just had a bit of a heavy night last night.
I really wanted to go and stay with him for like a weekend, and he was absolutely not. Because we knew there was something going on, but we didn't know the extent.
We started to see some changes then that were just, as far as we were aware, out of character. At the time we thought he was drinking, but now we're not so sure. So.
He tried to find jobs, didn't he, initially, I think?
He did get a job. It was in a call centre, and he did that for a year, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
And he met his targets and excelled his targets and got bonuses, and they had, I think, a monthly sort of employees' night out, which he used to go on and enjoy. We were really pleased for him, because it's all experience at the end of the day, and he was more or less living independently financially, so that was good, So we were happy with that. Then we started to find these little packets with logos on them, brightly coloured packets up in his room. And then after a couple of days, I thought I'd speak to him about it. So I confronted him with it, and he said, "Oh no, it's fine. It's herbal."
And he'd say, I can't get addicted to it. It's cannabis. It's fine. Was his phrase.
Yeah. So we accepted that. We started to see some changes then that were just, as far as we were aware, out of character. I mean, when he was himself, he was just a lovely guy, and we'd go to the cinema and family meals and go to the pub and that, and it was great.
Holidays. You didn't take anything when he was on holiday?
No, and when these legal highs came on the scene, he was really difficult to relate to. I found myself saying to him, I don't know who I'm talking to. I do remember there was a package arrived for him one day through the post, a little brown jiffy bag and plain, and I could sort of feel that it felt like tobacco or something in there, and so I had an alarm bell go off. So I opened it, and it was a sealed packet that I didn't recognise the name of, but you could see through the back of it, and it looked a bit like is it pure?
Yeah, just sort of herbal, dried herbal stuff.
Dried herbal stuff, and he said it's not illegal, it's fine. It's just something I smoke because I'm not smoking cannabis, so I smoke this. And Laurence and I watched an early film. Then we all had dinner together, and then we went to bed at about 10:30. And he seemed perfectly normal. He came up to me and gave me a hug and said, "Good night, Dad. Love you, Dad." Off to bed, and I said, "Yeah, love you too." And off he went to bed.
And I gave him a big hug. He was on his computer doing his music. Gave him a big hug, and he got a great big hug back as always. And I sort of said, we won't be here when you wake up.
The three of us got up early and went to this horse event and got back home at 1:30 on the Saturday. And he wasn't anywhere in the house, he wasn't up, and I thought, I'm surprised. So I went over to his flat to make sure he was okay. I was calling his name and went up to him, but he was in such a position that I couldn't really see his face particularly clearly. So I got hold of him and moved him back a little bit, and I was still trying to see. It's only when I moved him back and his position didn't move that I knew, and he was cold, and I knew he was dead. And then the undertakers came, and they put Laurence's body on a trolley, and they asked if we wanted to see it in the garage, so we went to the garage to see him in the garage. But he was still, there's blood from his eyes and his nose, and that, so it wasn't very nice. And then they took him away. Our drug knowledge is woefully out of date. In hindsight, looking back with what's happened, it sounds incredibly stupid, but I think, to be fair to ourselves, it was just naivety and a lack of education. It was only as we sort of educated ourselves as time went by that we started to get some alarm bells going off, because initially we thought it was fine.
I tried to help him the best I could, really, sort of, but his knowledge was a lot bigger than mine, because at school we had all the sort of standard education kind of thing, but there was never, all these new drugs and substances were never sort of mentioned.
I think a lot of youngsters do get drug education at school or at college or wherever, but there's nothing for parents unless you go and find it yourself. So I don't think parents should be blasé about these things. I think parents need to keep their knowledge of drugs up to date. If there's websites to go to, official websites where you can go look online and say, okay, the popular drugs amongst the youth culture at the moment are da. You might not recognise 6 out of 10. So look at those 6 out of 10, find out what they are.